In this video, I'm going to go over how to create and deploy a test in Blackboard. Now, creating a test has a kind of life cycle in Blackboard, and these are the different steps. So first you would create the test, add the questions, and you would do that using the test tool. The next step you would take is deploy the test, and you would go to a content area in order to do that. The next step would be students would take the test in that content area and review their results. The next step would be the test is graded, and that test can provide feedback to the student. And then the last step is review, where the student gets to review their grade and any feedback from you in their My Grades section. So let's get started. First, we're going to create a test. So in order to do that, you want to scroll down on your left-hand menu all the way down to Course Tools, and then select Tests, Surveys, and Pools. Once you've done that, you're going to click into Tests, and we want to build a test. Once you're in the Test Information menu, you want to name the test. You can add a description. And you can also add instructions. And you're going to hit submit. And once you've done that, it's going to take you into the test canvas. And this is where you can actually create questions that you want to add to this test. Before we do that, let's go ahead and look at question settings. So question settings controls which options are available when creating test questions. So when you write test questions, you may choose to provide feedback for individual answers, images, files, and external links, question metadata, such as categories, topics, levels of difficulty, and keywords, scoring defaults, such as the default point value or partial credit for answers, and specifics for how answers are displayed, such as random ordering of answers. So once you're happy with all of your choices that you've made here, you can go ahead and click Submit. Now I'm going to show you how to create a couple of different question types. So you'll go to Create Question, and as you can see, you have a lot of different types of questions. So the most commonly used questions I use are multiple choice questions. So you have the option to put a question title, but I don't usually put one. And this is how you would create a question manually. After you're done typing in your question, you can scroll down to the answers. So here you can control the number of answers, and it has the correct answer selected as answer 1. So we're going to put the correct answer there. And then you want to provide several other incorrect answers. And you can also give feedback for the correct response. So once they respond with the correct answer, you can give feedback. And you can also give incorrect response feedback there. So once you're done with this question, you can hit Submit, and you've created a test question. Automatically, the test question is worth 10 points. And as you can see here, here's the question, and here is the answer. So this is really the hard way to create test questions in Blackboard. If you're looking for something easier, you can look at my video called Uploading Test Questions into Blackboard using an Excel spreadsheet. And so instead of doing this one by one, you can do it just in bulk. So once we have this test and we have the questions the way we like it, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. The next step is to deploy the test. And that means that I'm going to add the test to a content area. So I want to go ahead and click on Lessons. And once I'm in a lesson area where I want the test to be, I'll go ahead and click on Assessments and select Test. Now, once I'm in this Create Test menu option, I can look at the list of existing tests and I can find the test that we just created and hit submit. So once you're in this menu, this is where you can control the options for the test for the students. So you'll have your test description, the name. You can choose to show the test description to students before they take the test, and show instructions to students before they take the test if you wish. I always like to open up the test in a new window because that way it doesn't take students out of the class. For test availability, you can also choose to make it available to students. Now, you can also add a new announcement for the test, and that'll send out an announcement to students letting them know that the test is now available to be taken. You can also allow multiple attempts. I generally do this in my class because you never know if a student maybe is running late or a test gets interrupted. I always give them 3 chances. And I score their attempt using the highest grade. So I let them know that they can take it as many as 3 times, and I'll take the highest grade out of 3. You can also force completion, and what this does is that if the student tries to click away from the test, instead of allowing them to come back to it, it'll force them to complete it. And you can also set a timer for the test. You can also control when you would like the test to display after, and if you would like the test to display until a certain time. You can also put a password on it, but I tend not to do that. You can also set test availability exceptions. So if you say you have a timer on a test and you have a student in your class who has a documented disability and they need time and a half on tests, what you can do is go into this menu, select a specific user, and then hit submit, and then they'll show up right here, and you can actually change the amount of time that they would have for the test. So say the student needs 30 more minutes, you can add 90 minutes here. And that's going to give this student specifically an exception. So that's a handy dandy little thing if you have a student who has a documented disability and they need more time on tests. You can also set a due date for your test, and this will put it in the course calendar. And you also have the ability to not allow students to start the test if the due date has passed. And for self-assessment options, you want to include this test in the Grade Center calculations. And then now we have show test results and feedback. So after submission, you want to show the score per question to your students. And what that will do is it will tell students which questions they got wrong, but it won't tell them the correct answer. If you want students to see the correct answer, you can go ahead and go to this drop-down menu right here and select after due date. You can choose to show them all answers and the correct answers. And you can also choose to show them feedback. So this is a handy thing where after they've taken the test, they can actually go and see what they did wrong so they can prepare for the next test. Options for test presentation. So you have the option to present the questions all at once. You can also randomize the questions, and you can also do questions one at a time to prohibit backtracking. Like if you don't want students to get an answer to like maybe a previous question has the answer to a later question on a test, you can prohibit backtracking, preventing them from going back and fixing that answer. So once you're happy with these options, you can go ahead and hit submit. You'll get this green bar that says success, test 1 options. After you hit submit, you'll scroll down on the main course page, on your main lessons page, and the test will be down here. And you can click on it, and then you can actually take the test as you would if you were a student. So you can click begin. And as you can see, we have our 1 question. Save and submit. Okay. And it's going to show you that you got 10 out of 10 points, so you got that question correct. And then you could say okay, and it'll just take you back to the main course lesson. And that is how you create a test and how you deploy a test in a content area.